Well, just when you thought there wasn't going to be more paperwork, there is. But I'm not surprised. This is something that I sort of saw coming, and I talked a little bit about it in the last set of guidance that I sent out last week. And really, it's just what I said last week was, look, if that seller isn't being, I guess you could say, clear as to what the compensation is going to be, use the as is contract or use a right to cancel so that you can deal with that particular contingency within that contract. Otherwise, you just cancel the deal. So the Florida Realtors, they just put out this new comprehensive rider for the FAR bar. And it's basically just stating it's introducing a new contingency. And by the way, any contingency that you have can be cleared up during the inspection time allotted in the as is or within your right to cancel. But this particular agreement right here, this uh, seller's agreement with respect to buyer's broker compensation, is really just basically saying, look, the contract's contingent upon check one, the seller's broker and the buyer's broker, or the seller and the buyer's broker executing a compensation agreement with terms acceptable to the buyer within X amount of time. And if they don't do that, well, guess what? The buyer can terminate the deal and they can leave the contract. Wow, it's a contingency. And so you can either do this within the time frame of your as is inspection period, or you can just go ahead and use this particular clause right here. I guess it's a bit of a fielder's choice. This right here is just, you can use it with a regular contract with a standard FAR bar, but really, I don't know. It's almost like a distinction without a difference. But in any case, it's a nice rider. And if you have a seller that is unsure of what they're doing, they're not being, sometimes these listing agents are like, I don't know, like, the seller's like, well, bring me an offer. I don't know. And so use this form right here. This will allow you some time to negotiate that. And again, the seller's broker and the buyer's broker compensation agreement is right here, seller's broker to buyer's broker compensation agreement. Or you can use this one right here, the seller to buyer's broker. So the contract is going to be contingent upon either the seller to buyer's broker compensation agreement being used, or the seller's broker to buyer's broker compensation agreement. And remember, if you're using the seller's broker to buyer's broker, that means that seller has allowed that listing agent to share their compensation. So in other words, they checked off 10A in the FAR listing agreement. And then over here, the seller to buyer's broker, so on the FAR listing contract, that seller has said, okay, 10B. All right. So all right. But in any case, that's this new form right here. It's not very complicated, and you can use this. Go for it. But again, it's just basically another contingency, and you could also use the as is or the right to cancel and negotiate the terms of the buyer broker compensation within that time frame, and you're going to have the same effect. So there you go.